Welcome to Lockdown Lifelines.
He stole my line. Welcome to... There's no point in saying it anymore. Dan's got it. But welcome, Dan, to Lockdown Lifelines.
Yeah,
this is your first time.
It's my first time on Lockdown Lifelines.
Welcome to Amongst Wolves filming set.
Yeah, why don't you hop on over to Amongst Wolves on YouTube, check out our stuff.
Shameless plugs. So today, Dan, we're talking about why the Bible is so important.
Not why Amongst Wolves is so important.
Well, people should know that already if they check out our stuff.
Hey.
Nice. But today, as part of Lockdown Lifelines, obviously the Bible is a huge part of the Christian faith. Have you read the Bible?
Yeah, I've read the Bible quite a bit.
Start to finish?
Yeah, so I've read it start to finish, like in order, once over, and then I've read like each little bit, probably another couple times over by now.
What do you think?
It's pretty good, yeah.
Do you like the author?
So yeah, God. Well, no, I mean the cool thing about the Bible is that it's actually been written by lots of people over thousands of years. Typically, what you get with like religious texts is you'll get one person hearing directly from God, and they'll write like the whole thing. And for me, that throws in questions like reliability. How do you know that person heard correctly or whatever? Whereas the Bible is largely history. It's a collection of history books thrown together that tell lots of stories of the way that like God and humans have interacted, the stuff that God's kind of done on Earth over thousands of years. But the cool thing is it all ties together as one like consistent story. That there is no way that any individual could make some of that stuff up. Like some of the stuff that references each other over thousands of years, it's just crazy. Yeah,
because the guys who, like Moses, for example, who were writing some of the first books of the Bible, there's no way he would have any idea that some of the stuff right at the end would still be significant to what he was writing and what he heard from God. So it's a consistency that I love about the Bible. Amongst other things, obviously, but how reliable it is because of that one factor.
Which is just amazing. Like, you find so many little nuggets in the Bible of like, oh, actually when God did that thing with like Moses right at the start, he knew that Jesus was going to come and do that. And it's like confirmation that Jesus is who he says he is.
Plus all the prophecies and things about who Jesus is, and he filled every single one. And he's still to fill in some as well when he comes back. So it's mad, and the Bible is an awesome read. There's difficult parts of it, but it's an awesome read. So why do you read the Bible, Dan? Well,
the Bible, as well as, like I said, it being like a history book detailing kind of the stuff that God's done in the lives of humans over a big period of time, it's also, I think, one of the primary ways God speaks to us. I totally believe that if you sit down, you open your Bible and you just pray like, God, I want you to speak to me. I want you to teach me more about who you are. I want you to teach me more about Jesus. And then you read it. I believe God speaks to us through that. And I've had that so many times where God's just like been really, really clear through something that's in the Bible, and he's spoken to me. And God is, as you may have talked about on other Lockdown Lifelines, he's a relational God. We exist to know him. We exist to have a relationship, a connection with him. And actually reading the Bible, reading about him and kind of the stuff that he's done through lives of people just like us in the past is a really good way to get to know him.
And I think it's really important when we understand the context of different parts of the Bible as well. That's another way we can understand what God was saying and why. If you ever find a really difficult part of the Bible, always check out the context and do some research on it, because even like just doing research on some passages alone, it's a fascinating little wormhole that you can just jump down whenever you want. It's really great.
Should we do a quick breakdown?
Yeah.
So the first big chunk of the Bible is largely historical account, just written by the Jewish people at the time, a group of people called Israel, and that includes kind of the Jewish creation story right at the start. Then you have, about in the middle of the Bible, you have the wisdom books, which is like, some wisdom from some wise people at the time, but also some poetry, just people expressing, and some songs, some lyrics for some songs, the original bangers, people expressing what they're going through at the time and kind of talking to God, and a lot of it is actually venting, and I find I can relate to that sometimes.
Then we have the prophets, which is where loads of people heard specifically from God and they shared the message. Some of it was to the Israelites at the time about the difficult things they were going through and what God had to say about that, but some of it was also making prophecies about the future, specifically Jesus. And the amazing thing is Jesus then came and fulfilled every single one of those prophecies, which is mad.
Yeah, and then Jesus shows up at the start of what's called the New Testament. It's like the second half of the Bible. And what we have in the New Testament is 4 different eyewitness accounts of Jesus' life and who he was and everything he did. These are people who actually saw Jesus and followed him around and learned from him and just wrote down everything he did. And then after that, we have what's called the birth of the church, like the start of the early church. The story of how people just absolutely convinced that Jesus is who he says he is, that he's the Son of God, that he came to pay for all of our mistakes, and he's defeated death, and he promises us eternal life. People convinced by that who go to the ends of the earth to share that with people. And that's what we see for kind of the rest of the Bible.
And then right at the end, there's one final prophecy about when Jesus comes back. And it is a difficult read. It's mad and it's weird. But if you do the research, like I was saying, read it in context and find out what it means, it is a fascinating read.
That book's called Revelation, and a lot of people are scared of it because there's some kind of quite wacky, like, reads a bit like a fever dream, to be honest, some quite wacky stuff in there. But yeah, if you read up on it, maybe ask someone that you trust. If you have like a chaplain or a pastor or whatever, ask them what they think. And there's actually some really cool stuff in there. There's no need to be afraid of reading any bit of the Bible, even the difficult bits.
What is one of your favourite passages of the Bible and why?
I've got lots of favourite bits of the Bible. One of them is in the Psalms, which is found in the middle of the Bible in those wisdom books, the book of Psalms, and this is where all the songs are, all the song lyrics. Most of them written by a guy called David, who was a king, who went through a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, and he wrote these songs just to express what was going on in his life. But there's one psalm, Psalm 27, it's going to be my favourite chapter in the Bible, but there's this bit in it, check this for bars. He says, "One thing I ask of the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple." Now, some weird language in there we're maybe not used to hearing, the house of the Lord, temple. Basically what he's saying is, if I want one thing in life, God, it's to know you, it's to just be with you, to be in your presence, to spend time with you, to learn about you. Like, this guy was a king. Like, he had to run a nation. He had to like lead armies into battle, and he had wealth. He had a lot of stuff. But he said, the one thing that I want out of all of that, I don't want peace in war. He was being attacked by a lot of people. He was at war with a lot of people at the time. He's like, actually, the main thing I want is not peace. It's not wealth. It's not popularity. Actually, the one thing I want, God, is to know you. And as we said before, like, God is a relational God. He wants us to have a connection with him. And fundamentally, what we're built for as humans is to know God. That is the best thing for us, to enjoy knowing the creator of all things. And David, the guy that wrote this psalm, really got this. And for me, reading that passage, reading that little verse, I'm like, cool. The best thing for me to want in life is not like a successful career, is not like good grades at school, it's not to write the best song ever, to play the biggest gig ever. Well, those are all like, they're not bad things to want, and it's okay to want those things. But the main thing, the chief thing that I want, absolutely top of my priority list, I want to know God, because that is the game changer. That is the only thing that makes a difference. That's the only thing that fills the void in our hearts that we feel sometimes as humans, is knowing God. And David got that, and that verse reminds me of that, so that's why I like it.
It's awesome. So, final question. If I've never read the Bible before, where would you recommend that I start?
I'm going to recommend two, if that's allowed.
Ooh, okay.
Two different places.
I'll let it slide.
One is the book of Psalms, because it is just a collection of poetry and songs written by people like us who understand some of the darkest times. There's some real struggles expressed through those songs. They understand hardship, they understand difficulty, but it's all written as like a prayer to God. It's all done in relationship with God, saying, actually, all this stuff I'm struggling with, I'm going to take that to the one person that could do something about it, the one person that knows me, that gets me. So if you want to feel understood in your circumstances in life, like the Psalms is a really good place to go. It's really helpful sometimes as Christians to know that we are allowed to feel some of those things that we feel. The other place I have to recommend is those 4 books, the Gospels, found at the start of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're simply eyewitness accounts of who Jesus was. If you want to know what being a Christian is, who Jesus is, you know, was he real? Did he really like heal people? Did he really like come back from the dead? Read these eyewitness accounts. These are written by people really with no agenda. Like, they had everything to lose by writing this. They were actually hunted and killed for writing these texts. They did not write these to be popular or to try and kid anyone of anything. This is just what they saw about the life of Jesus. And so if you want to know who Jesus is, this is where you have to start. Go read the Gospels and ask for yourself, like, who is this Jesus guy? And pray, God, if you're there, Jesus, if you really are who you say you are, would you speak to me as I read these Gospels? So Psalms and the Gospels.
Awesome. They're great places to start. So thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me on Lockdown Lifelines. If you have any questions at all about something you're reading in the Bible that you don't understand, please, please, please get in touch with us. Drop us a DM, get in contact with at the Higher Tour, or speak to your chaplain, your youth leader, your pastor, someone that you know is a Christian that you love and trust. Speak to them and they would be more than happy to help you guys out and point you in the right direction to getting answers. See you guys next week on Lockdown Lifelines.